These are the brand new, just announced streaming sticks for Roku in 2025. This is the new HD model, and this is the new 4K model. The question is, are these the sticks you should buy? I'll break down the new models, I'll show you what comes inside the box, and then I'll fire it up and show you what the setup process looks like. Tech it before you wreck it. What's up, geeks? I'm Kirk, and I find these very interesting. These are two brand new streaming sticks from Roku, and these fall on the lower end of the price scale when it comes to Roku streaming sticks. One is the entry-level model. The second one is the first 4K model you can get for just $40. They're relatively affordable, but what are you missing out on? And is one of these sticks the stick you should buy? If you stick around to the B side, I'm going to show you the setup process of these new streaming sticks, and I'll also break down who should be buying these and who might want to go for a different Roku stick. But first, I want to get these over to the table and show you what comes inside the box. All right, here are the two brand new Roku streaming sticks, the HD model here on the left. You can see that indicated by the HD in the upper right-hand corner there. You've got a picture of the streaming stick and the remote. You've got some streaming apps on the bottom, thousands of apps, and of course that HD logo in the corner. On the side, it says easy setup. You've got an HDMI icon, connect to the internet, and start streaming. That's pretty much it. On the back, it says HD streaming made easy. Enjoy your favorite shows and movies with hassle-free HD streaming. It's got a picture of the remote, pretty basic back of the box here. Voice remote with TV controls, though. That is huge. Controls your TV and works with your voice. And on the other side, it says what's included: the streaming stick, the voice remote with batteries, and the power cable. And then it's got a whole bunch of smart home icons. It basically works with most major smart home systems, including Roku Smart Home, which I'm not super familiar with, but Google Home, Alexa, Apple, etc. Now, this is the 4K box. It's got that 4K in the corner. It does say Streaming Stick Plus, but otherwise the box is nearly identical to the HD model. But like I said, the boxes are nearly identical. Most of the sides are the same. The back is slightly different, but you got to make sure you buy the right one. Look for that in the corner, HD or 4K, depending on which model you want. I've got my trusty knife so I can cut the tape and get this thing open. All right, so this slides out. It's like a box within a box, which is kind of cool. It's got the little Roku robot there. Endless entertainment awaits. Flip over for setup. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. They put the quick start guide right here on the box, which is nice. I don't need it printed on a piece of paper. Put it on the box. You can see it's telling you to plug the USB power into the back of your TV because that is one of the major new features here. It doesn't need that AC adapter, but you can use it if that's your best option. But you should be able to get enough power off your TV, which is huge. Look on the bottom here. It says doesn't fit in your TV's HDMI port. Order a free extender cable on the Roku website. Kind of interesting. They don't include an extender cable because they think most people should be able to use this with their TVs. It's wasteful. I get that. If everybody gets an extender cable and 5% of people use it, but kind of a pain if you need it, you got to wait to get it in the mail. Okay, so inside the box, let's dump out the goods, and looks like we have 3 things inside the box. I take that back. 4 things when you count this little instruction manual / warranty, etc., whatever this is, a little bit of paperwork. Next, we've got the cable, and this is actually quite long. I would think that it would be shorter because it's designed to be used behind your TV, but nice to have some length. Probably a 6-foot cable here is my guess. Not branded, doesn't say Roku on it. It's USB on one side and then USB-C on the other side. So designed to plug into the back of the TV, and then the other side plugs into the Roku stick. So again, this is a big deal. You do get the Roku remote with the microphone, with the voice. You've got all the standard Roku buttons here, exactly what you'd expect. There's your voice button in the middle, and you do have your Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple TV, and Prime Video buttons on the bottom. And important, on the side of the remote, you have those volume buttons and a mute button because this does operate to control your TV, which is weird because I don't see the IR window at the top of this remote, but it will control your TV. I love the Roku tab. Classic Roku tab on the bottom of the remote. I love that they've kept doing that through all these years. So again, on the top, I don't see the IR transmitter window. Maybe they're doing it some other way, but again, it will control your TV with IR. I just don't see that traditional little IR window there. All right, let's take a look at the streaming stick, and it's got some weird plastic on the outside. Let me see if I can get this plastic off. This is very attached. It's like wrapped and suctioned onto the actual stick. Man, that was some intense plastic on this stick. So here it is. It's got the Roku logo in pink. Oh, I got a little bit of plastic left there. Should I get that off? Yeah, let me get that plastic off. That was driving me crazy. I'm glad I got that. So yeah, you've got that Roku logo on the front here. You've got a little light with the indent. I like the design. It's simple. It's a skinny, lightweight stick. It's got the Roku logo on the edge there as well. On the back, you've got a QR code as well as the model number 3840X, a serial number. You can see it says Roku Streaming Stick. It's got your FCC ID information, etc., etc. You've got your HDMI port on the bottom there. I got my knife here to open up the 4K box, but I'm going to warn you ahead of time. I'm pretty sure it's almost identical in most ways. Everything's the same. You'll notice the 4K stick has the black logo as opposed to the purple logo, so that's how you're going to be able to tell the difference. Of course, on the back as well, it says Roku Streaming Stick Plus instead of just Streaming Stick. I do want to point out you've got that USB-C power port on the side of the Roku sticks, a reset button on the other side, and that's pretty much it. These are designed to be very simple streaming sticks, and that's exactly what they are from Roku. These sticks are pretty much identical, except for the fact that the Plus model supports 4K and HDR, and you're going to pay $10 more for this model. This is the one I'm going to test, and I do need that USB-C power on the side in order to get this thing plugged in. So I'm going to plug in the USB-C, I'm going to plug this into HDMI, and walk you through the setup process right now. Okay, so the first screen that pops up is this one. It's telling you to synchronize or sync a remote to the Roku box. You'll notice that the remotes, they have this little kind of tab on the back that blocks the batteries during shipment. So the first thing you do, as you can see in that graphic, is pull out the tab, and that's going to pull this little plastic tab out, firing up the battery power for the remote. You can see there's now a light blinking. I didn't even have to press that key combination that is suggested because it immediately went into pairing mode and immediately connected to the box. So the first thing I get after that is the decision of which language we want to use. I'll select English. Now it's going to jump right into the wireless network search. You've got to connect this to a Wi-Fi network so it has access to the internet for, of course, all your apps as well as software updates. So I'll pick my network, punch in my code, and move to the next step. Okay, the code is punched in, and now it's connecting to my Wi-Fi. So, of course, as we know is often the case with these boxes, especially when they're first released, by the time they get from the factory to the shelf for the first time, there's probably some software updates, and that seems to be the case here. It's telling me there's an update available, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I don't really have any other options, and run that software update. Fun little Roku alien animation when you boot the box up. I do like that. So it did reboot pretty quickly after that update. In fact, the update only took about 45 seconds. It's continuing to download though, so maybe that update's not quite done yet. But the reboot process took maybe 10 seconds. Okay, your Roku device is updated to the next software version, and you can hit the button to continue, so I'm going to do that here. Now it's updating the remote control. That's something we've seen with these boxes lately too. They actually update the software on the remote controls themselves, which when you think about it is pretty cool and pretty impressive. So it's jumping in right away telling me, hey, your TV supports 4K. Do you want to use 4K? For the sake of the way I have this connected to this setup, I'm going to continue with 1080p right now. It says your remote can control the power and the volume of your TV. I do want to set that up because, as I mentioned during the unboxing, I don't see an IR hole or window in the top of the remote, so I'm not sure how that works, but I'll hit continue, and it'll say, what is the brand of your TV? So I'm going to type in Samsung. Is music playing? Yeah, you can hear that. The music is definitely playing, so yes. Okay, so right now it's asking me to enter my email address to create an account, or you can activate it with a QR code. I'm going to use the QR code because I do think that tends to be easier, so you can do the setup process on your phone instead of doing it with the remote. So that jumps me right into the Roku website on my phone, which again I can use to log into my existing Roku account. So it's actually advancing the setup process on the phone, which is kind of cool. Take a look at this, guys. It's asking me to give the device a name and then which room this device is going to be in. Kind of interesting to see that setup process continue on the phone beyond just the login. Also on my phone, it's going through all the streaming services, asking me to pick which ones I have. I'm assuming it's going to automatically install those apps once I finish the setup process. It's also asking me to select my interests so it can help build my channel lineup. Now, this is probably for those free Roku streaming channels, which we see on many of the platforms now, but Roku has their own ecosystem, and they're trying to get you to kind of tailor that to what you might want. It's even continuing to ask me if I want to add more apps to the home screen. Again, kind of interesting to see so much of the setup process here on the phone when I use that QR code, which I think is a gazillion times easier than trying to do it on the TV, but certainly doing it on the TV is an option as well. All right, so here we go. Now it has advanced on the screen here. It says it's updating apps. So as predicted, those apps I selected are probably being installed in the background right now. I'll give it a second to do that. All right, just like that, the home screen has loaded up, and if you use Roku, you know this is a very familiar look. Here's the thing. Roku's interface has, of course, gotten better and evolved, but in many ways, it has stayed true to itself when other ecosystems have kind of gone in different directions or become more advanced. So I feel like people who love Roku. It's simple. The apps typically work pretty well, and I'm not going to do a deep dive into the operating system here because, again, you probably know what that looks like, but I wanted to give you a breakdown, just a simple look through of what the boot up process, the setup process looks like. I do think the performance is probably going to be different if you're using it in 4K mode versus 1080p mode where I have it now, and definitely the HD stick versus the 4K stick will likely be different in terms of performance as well. But I can jump in real quickly just to the Netflix app just to see how quickly that loads up, jumps right into the logo, but the question is boot time, right? And yeah, it's booting up pretty fast. You know, in terms of snappiness, the menus seem quick, just initially speaking, but that's Roku. I mean, Roku isn't known for being super laggy. I think some of their older sticks certainly are, but most of these newer sticks are going to perform pretty well. So let's talk about these two new sticks. You've got the HD model and the 4K model, $30 and $40. No question, these are on the lower end of the budget when it comes to Roku sticks. The Roku standard streaming stick here is going to be the most affordable Roku that you can get in 2025. They replaced the Roku Express and the Roku Express 4K, and they are better in a lot of ways. I mean, first and foremost, the form factor is smaller, which I think is important if you're trying to put this behind the TV. Second of all, they don't require a plug in the wall. They're designed to work off of less power plugged into the USB port on the back of your TV, which is fantastic because if you're buying a budget streaming stick, that's what you want. You just want something you can tuck behind the TV. And you're getting a better remote now. Both of them come with the voice remotes that you didn't get before. You can do all those voice commands right there on your remote. That's a huge deal as well. You're getting a much better value for a $30 price tag or a $40 price tag than I think you ever got before when it comes to Roku. So keep in mind, they still have two additional tiers above these basic models. So the HD model is simple. It's $30. It has that voice remote with the TV controls, but otherwise it's very simple. The Roku Streaming Stick Plus gives you 4K and HDR in addition to the features you get with the regular streaming stick, and that's probably it. Now that's $40. You can pay an additional $10 and get the streaming stick 4K. That one gives you Dolby Vision. If Dolby Vision is important to you, no question, pay the extra $10. And then you get to the Roku Ultra. This one gives you, of course, 4K, HDR, and Dolby Vision, but you also get a backlit voice remote control. So it has backlighting on the keys, which is always nice. It has it can be recharged instead of using batteries by plugging it in and recharging it, which is also really nice. And it has a lost remote finder. So you can push a button on the Roku box and the remote will beep. Another very cool feature. I think if you're a Roku power user, this is a no-brainer. This one's not designed to go behind your TV. So, you know, this is for people who are willing to put this on maybe an entertainment console and they want more power, they want more features. This one is $80. Finally, you do have this niche product, the Roku Streambar SE, which gives you kind of the 4K features, but with a speaker built in as well, kind of a center channel speaker. The Roku is built into that. Again, I think that's kind of niche. It's $100, but you are getting a center channel speaker, and I think some people will want that, but most people probably will go for a normal streaming box. And if you're trying to choose between these two brand new dongles, here's what I would say. Most people should not buy the HD model. Why? Well, because what are the chances you're never going to want 4K? I think pay the extra $10, get the 4K. The only people I think should be buying the normal streaming stick is if you're maybe throwing this in a kid's bedroom and you just don't care if it has 4K or not. Maybe this is something you're buying for a rental unit and you just want to have a streaming stick in the rental unit, $30, it's done, no big deal. Or maybe you're trying to buy a streaming stick that you can take with you when you travel. You can plug this into a TV when you go to an Airbnb or a hotel. In that case, the regular HD streaming stick makes sense. But for most of us, For the rest of us, spend the extra $10, get the 4K model, because I do think if you're ever going to use 4K, you're going to want that. It's got a little bit more oomph. Even if you're running it in 1080p, you're going to get a little bit more power behind it because it's designed to run in 4K. And what if you do get a 4K TV? For $10, I think it's better to future-proof yourself by getting the 4K model. I don't think you'll regret it. At the end of the day, though, these are two solid options, low-end budget options when it comes to the Roku lineup. It's nice to see them continuing to offer very affordable Roku sticks for people who want to maybe replace the streaming interface that's built into their TV that's showing its age, or simply buy a new stick, a Roku stick, but they don't need all the bells and whistles. I like the new lineup, and I think they're doing a great job of making sure their low-end sticks still work as well as people would expect. I hope that was helpful. I want to hear your questions, guys. Throw a comment in. I read every single one. I'll comment back, and subscribe to the channel. I got a lot more cool geeky tech videos coming your way, unboxings, reviews, demos, all here on Tech It Before You Wreck It. I'm Kirk.